Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid. I'm here with Dr. Michelle Gordon, whose assistant found me on LinkedIn, found my podcast, and then ended up getting me as a guest on Dr. Michelle's show. So if you would, just give us a little bit more background of what we've titled the episode, Ain't Gonna Suffer Through Menopause. Obviously, you hear the word menopause, you think, oh, I don't want to talk about that. That's not exciting, but this is really an exciting conversation that we're going to have. I really believe
it really is.
A lot of people. Yeah.
Well, menopause, I think, is it's a time of change. And it's historically been kind of coupled in there with being over the hill or not being able to continue, you know?
Yep.
There's a great video with Amy Schumer and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, where Julia Louis-Dreyfus is having her last effable day. And, you know, and because of the way Hollywood views women.
Right.
So, I titled it The Menopause Movement, and, you know, we have this whole, you know, business called the Menopause Movement, and we've got the Menopause Movement podcast, which you were a guest on, and we've got the Meno System, which is our transformational 1 year long experience where women can you know, really change their lives through a series of, you know, it's the Meno-Mate way of eating, the Meno-Mate way of moving, and the Meno-Mate way of thinking. Those are our main pillars, plus science. And so, you know, we take women from mental miserable or mental misery into the Meno-Mate way of living through the Meno magic of the Meno System. So it's all this proprietary language. It's a lot of fun.
I love it.
Yeah. And then, you know, we have this, we deliver a transformational experience over a couple of weeks as a kind of a taster. It's called a beta, and we give that away for free. And you've got a link there to you know, for anyone who wants to be notified of when we open up applications. That's by application only. It's applications in exchange for feedback and testimonials. So the quid pro quo is, you know, you come in and you get this transformation, and then you give us a testimonial, a video testimonial at the end. Beautiful. And we you know, we spend the whole time, you know, working with you. And of course there's an opportunity to continue if you like it, but at the end of the day, that's not what it's about. You know, it's about like helping people see what we can do, you know, what menopause is and what it isn't really.
Yes.
And you know, the biggest belief that I find women, and even Facebook, you know, thinks that menopause is a medical condition. And so it's really funny because when we try to run Facebook ads, they shut us down because they think that we're referring to a medical condition. So we have to educate even Facebook about what is you know, whether it's a medical condition. Yeah. And so it's called the Menopause Movement because, you know, I mean, look, for too long, we women have, you know, been subject to the societal norms that say, you know, we have to be a certain weight, we have to have a certain shape, we have to eat a certain way, we have to look a certain way, we have to wear makeup, we have to, you know, we have to do what the man says, we have to we have to be subservient, you know, women obey your husbands, all those things, right? And so my whole thought was, let's break the silence around menopause. Let's just start talking about it because, you know, I've surveyed thousands and thousands and thousands of women now. I mean, tens of thousands at this point. And, you know, over and over, I hear a few things. I feel like an alien has come down, beamed down and taken control of my body. You know, I'm so emotional and moody. Why am I eating so much? And why do I crave food? Right. I hear that a lot. And I hear like, you know, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. And so, and then the kicker is it's like a secret society that no one talks about. And so I thought, you know, let's make it real clear what we're about. And while women may not be searching for menopause because they don't want to be associated with it, they are searching for things like menopause and weight. You know, because who else is, you know, if you've gained 50 pounds of menopause, you know, raise your hand. Like, man, you know, I did.
There's a COVID-15, which now is my menopause 15. So I'm on this cleanse right now with this, my doctor put me on. This is my rest of my meal.
Oh, you're on Prolon?
Yeah. What do you think?
You're doing the Prolon fast thing?
Yeah. Uh-oh, she has an opinion about that. Tell me.
I have an opinion about everything.
Yes, I know. Tell me, what do you
You're
think?
surprised I know about it, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I think you know, I think I could throw any topic out into your corner and you would know something about it. I don't think you would ever say, I don't know. I think you just know.
That's not true. I say I don't know all the time.
Okay.
I say I don't know all the time.
Okay.
But Prolon, I mean, you know, here's the thing about Prolon. First of all, never, ever, ever go on a fast without talking to your doctor. That's the first thing.
Doctor put me on it. So
yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the most popular podcast of the Menopause Movement podcast is Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman. And I've had people, you know, even write back saying, because of that podcast, I didn't join your program because I don't want to do a 20-hour fast. It's like,
they thought that you did that. You didn't do that. You don't do that in your program.
I know. I was just a podcast. So at the end of the day, I mean, I like Prolon because it gives you a little bit of calories. So it's a fast, but it's not really a fast.
Does it shrink your stomach or something? I clean you out like an engine overhaul?
No, it's what it's doing. So it's not a true fast. A true fast is where you don't have anything but water.
Yeah.
And maybe black coffee.
Yeah.
That's a true fast.
Yeah.
This is a metabolic fast. So this is a fast that's giving you a little bit of calories and it's also getting you used. So it's like a stepping stone into real fasting.
Right.
You know, but I don't have a problem with Prolon. I mean, you know, it's okay, but you probably don't need to buy their stuff. You can probably use,
I don't plan to. I just plan to do this for 5 days.
No. I'm just saying that you probably don't even have to buy the packages. You could probably just eat like, you know, 12 almonds, just make sure that they're not coated in olive oil, and then, you know, use some bone broth that you cook for yourself.
But I noticed that when I did do any kind of fasting or intermittent fasting, which I did at COVID, I just ate from 12 to 8 for about a month and I walked 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
I think I gained because of intermittent fat. Well, I gained because I'm less active, but I didn't eat any differently. So I'm thinking, I know menopause maybe had something to do with it, but also maybe intermittent fasting isn't good for my body type.
It could be. I mean, remember when it comes to life, you know, I like to say when it comes to menopause, there's no one size fits all answer, but remember when it comes to life, when it comes to weight loss, there's no one size fits all answer, and what works for you may not work for me, you know, and what worked in that's why in my program, basically we talk about, you know, the Meno-Mate way of eating, but we give people a lot of options and we talk about all the different things. And so you can, you know, we give you the education, we take all the things that are out there because, you know, Dr. Google is so disjointed and weird. Yes. And we kind of bring it all together and we put it in a certain order, so that you can get a transformation. And, you know, this is like the 5th or 6th time I've taught this course, and every time I get more and more confident because when I start to see transformations sooner and sooner. I mean, this cohort we're in 3 weeks and they're already starting to lose, you know, 10 pounds, and, you know, a lot of them are losing weight, and but the biggest thing is self-confidence, you know, seeing people change the way they feel about themselves.
Well,
that's what I love.
It certainly didn't help. This kind of goes to my stupid story of first, I was born, my dad's first words were, "She's a little fatty already." And then the second one is a 17 years old and a doctor just handed me a 1,200 calorie diet and told me, "You'd be cuter if you were thinner."
That's not right.
I know. And I was like, whoa. And so I've been living with the self-loathing and, you know, the body. I have a thick legs and I've never liked them. And then lately I've been saying, you know, trying to do self-affirmation when I walk by a window. I've been trying. And also realizing, you know, it would be worse. I could have no legs, right? So, I mean, there's things put it in perspective, Amy.
We have to make peace with our bodies. Society wants us to be at war with our bodies because that fuels the billion-dollar beauty industry and the wellness industry. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. Right. And so if what you're going to do is put energy on self-loathing, then all you're going to do is perpetuate self-loathing. Exactly. And so it just requires us to disrupt our thought processes. And you do it with mindfulness, and you do it with intention, and you do it with awareness, and you pick one thing. I you know, it's not like you're gonna you know, completely transform the relationship with your body overnight. Right. But what you do, and this is how I did it, and this may or may not work for your audience, it may or may not work for you, but I got sick of looking in a mirror and saying, "I hate you. I hate this body. I hate this belly." And it was the eve of 2018, and we were on a cruise ship in the Caribbean for New Year's. Okay, so it was like this really swanky kind of like
Nice.
cruise yachting thing.
Love that. I've done a Caribbean. No, Caribbean.
Yeah.
You said, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were in the Caribbean, and it was New Year's, so we were at like St. Lucia's or something for all the fireworks, whatever. But I was there and I had done a yoga class, and I was looking in the mirror, and I said, you know, I hate you. And then I said, this is dumb. I'm 50 some odd. I was 52, 53 years old at the time. I said, this has got to stop. I have to stop being at war with my body.
Right.
And so I said, okay, here is what I'm going to do. And this is my conscious intention. Every time I pass by a mirror, naked or not, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for taking me where I can go.
Yes.
And, you know, would you know that like after that, I had all of these gains in my fitness. I had, you know, and I even dropped a few more pounds. So,
Amazing.
I mean, I'm still, you know, there's still a big battle there because, you know, I may not want to eat just vegetables and protein. And,
even
you know, I like potato chips.
Right. Isn't it true? Like they say that if you're even eating a salad or whatever you're supposed to eat and you're loathing it, that's going to be bad for your body.
That's yeah. Well, but remember, if you're loathing the thing you're eating, right? If you're not loving it, because the energy that you put into it, you know, you can bless it all day long, right?
Yeah.
You can tell Jesus to bless your food, but if you're loathing it with your own energy, it's not going to help you.
Anything you do, I would think, if you loathe it, it's not going to be a good thing.
Yeah, that's why I quit my job.
Well, that's why I quit working on my weaknesses. Yeah, character flaws, sure, but not like things that I have to do with business or whatever. I'm like, I'll just hire somebody for that. But you quit your job because that was recent.
Well, yeah, actually July. So today it's August 13th, and July 31st was my last day as a surgeon.
Wow, that was recent.
Yeah. So I've been called to do this menopause thing for the last 4 or 5 years, and I had this block about whether I could make money doing it.
Yes.
And and that block had to do with a belief that I formed when I was 5 years old, that I could only make money as a doctor. And I've shared this on my podcast. I can briefly share it here, but
sure.
The memory goes like this. My mother had two, my dog just showed up. So if she makes noise, I'm sorry.
Awesome.
So my mother had her brother and her brother-in-law were doctors, and she was jealous because they made money. And so I'm 5 years old. She said, they're doctors. They're rich, something like that. And I, being somebody who wanted to please my mother, I said, oh, okay. If I am a doctor, I'll be rich. And so my 5-year-old self gave my subconscious that job. And would you know, I started medical school at 31.
Yeah. So you didn't even go directly into medical school. You did something else. And then that whole narrative you told yourself.
No, it was like my subconscious, I'd forgotten all about it. I didn't even remember it until I would say January of 2019.
Wow. But it gives you credibility to have the DR in front of your name. I'm sure you love that.
I mean, everything that has happened in my life up until this point has made me who I am. Yes. I have no regrets.
Yes.
I've made mistakes.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I've made plenty of mistakes, and
who hasn't?
Especially when it comes to like, but I mean, I think especially when it comes to being a parent, that's, you know, one thing that I regret. And if you have young people who are listening, who are of childbearing age, the one thing I really do regret was never taking a parenting class, being too proud to take a parenting class. Because I think it would have made things a lot better for me and for my son. Yeah. I've learned, since learned how to communicate with him, but I was so proud thinking that I was going to be, better than my mother. And so I just ended up, kind of rehashing what they did, because that was, we don't come, humans don't
like
come
the whole,
with
is it like, because I said so, is it that kind of culture?
Yeah. And the whole thing, like money doesn't grow on trees, and, all those things that they said to me, and, things that I've since undone. And now I'm trying to undo with my son.
I know,
So,
interesting. The book just popped in my head. The Whole Brain Child is just something that I was reading for school. And then it helped me in my last situationship of how to deal with people. But I just thought about that book. I'll even put that book in the notes, because I think that helps with parenting as well.
Yeah.
But let's go into our checklist, and we'll see what we got. We were talking about weight loss already. So let's go into an alien entered my body, like you said. hot flashes. I've only had top of the ear hot flashes, but I know I have adrenal fatigue as well, or heard of that, whatever that term means. Have, but whenever somebody gets me mad, now that I get hot on top of my ears, but I've never really had a hot flash. And
Okay, well,
I'm in it.
yeah, so hot flashes can be debilitating. I mean, remember, menopause is treated by symptoms. And so a lot of people and a lot of physicians think it's a medical condition. Right. But, at the end of the day, is it really a medical condition, or is it just a phase of our lives?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point.
Because every woman will go through it if they live long enough. And so I like to reframe it as, number one, it's the privilege of a long life.
Nice. Yes.
So it's disruptive. I mean, and I think the biggest problem with menopause is that, when we go through puberty, we get told our bodies are going to change, things are going to happen, we're going to get a period, our breasts are going to grow, all of these things. And so we get this talk. Nobody gives us the talk when it comes to menopause. And so it's like this big secret society. And not only do we have to go through this big, body change, and boys go through it as they become men. So there's something where we're parallel, but then we have to bear children. Right. So we have shame around our periods. We have shame, we have shame around being the bearer of children, breastfeeding, things like that. Right. Which are just normal, natural things. And then what happens is we stop being of childbearing age. And so our eggs are too old, and it's not, we stop having periods, thank God. And what part of that is losing our libido. Right? Because the hormones are fluctuating to a point that we just, don't feel like having sex as much. And it makes sense. If you're not going to be able to implant, if you're not going to be able to fertilize an egg, why would you want to have sex?
That makes sense.
Right? I mean, from a biological standpoint, now there's a lot, I'm not discounting sex. I'm not discounting sex as a means for connection, which it is. Sex is a means for connection, but just remember that men have to have sex to feel loved, and women have to feel loved to have sex. Heard that before. And so there's a whole, there's a whole thing. And so that's where it's so important when when you're either older and in a new relationship and you lose your libido, or if you're, if you've been in a relationship for a long time and your libido goes, to have a lot of communication around it, because men like to think that the women have gone off them, and that's not really what it is. It's just a normal, natural thing. So one of the bonuses that we give out in our program is called the Meno System, where we explain to the men what's happening to their ladies.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
so like the hot flashes are connected to sex at all, or no?
So hot flashes are, we don't really understand the pathophysiology of hot flashes. It has to do with some sort of overwhelm in the sympathetic nervous system, we think. But hot flashes are, again, like I was saying, I mean, before I went off on that tangent, menopause treatment is symptom related, symptom based. And so if you're having a lot of hot flashes, then your doctor may want to put you on a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, because it's been proven in studies to help. Just remember that if you're taking an SSRI, like the Cymbalta or something like that, then you're going to have a lot more difficulty climaxing during sex, and you may not climax at all. And so that's one of the side effects of an SSRI.
So then you said they'll put you on a what?
Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, like a Cymbalta or a Prozac or something like that.
So is that considered antidepressant?
It is, but it also works for hot flashes. So there's a big stigma in America and probably around the world about mental health. A doctor who's putting a woman on an antidepressant for hot flashes may or may not think she's hysterical, right? Okay. But just remember, doctors don't get a lot of treatment, don't get a lot of education on menopause.
Yes.
Right. Just like they don't get a lot of education on diet.
Yes.
But then when it comes to, just remember, they all think it's a medical condition that has to be treated.
Yep.
It's not a medical condition, ladies. It is just a phase.
So if you go to your doctor, you wouldn't really want to just go to a traditional medical doctor. You'd want to go to somebody who specializes in or in integrative medicine.
I mean, I mean, you can, remember that the doctors are just going to want to treat it. They're going to want to treat it with drugs because that's how
true.
doctors,
That's what they do.
doctors
They
are
just
taught. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they want you to go away. They want you to,
I
I
know.
mean, we're taught is to,
Fix
here's a
it.
problem. Here's how I fix it. Here's a
Right.
problem. Here's how I fix it.
Right.
And when we think about medical, the state of medicine in America, we treat sickness. We don't keep people healthy.
Exactly. The Eastern medicine does it more the other way.
Yeah. I mean, look, you can go to an integrated medicine practitioner and you might get better care, but you're going to have to pay for that. Right. It's just hard. I'm very biased when it comes to medicine in America. I'm really down on it. And so probably not the best topic for me, just because I just came out of it. I was super burned out and I don't like what has happened. Because it used to be run by doctors. We used to pretty much
have the power, not anymore.
Yeah, we used to just do everything, right? And insurance companies were not for profit, and so we got paid. And what they've done is they've devalued doctors now down to the fact that just in the recent CMS update, doctors got paid less, and they're actually giving raises to PAs and NPs from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid. And so for me, it was just like, it was the perfect time to just say goodbye.
I'm out. Yeah.
Well, but I was also called to do something different.
Exactly. That's the beauty of it. So even if something happens, you never should be like, oh, boo-hoo. Now it's time to pivot and then the opportunities that come.
Yeah. And COVID, I mean, my son, I have a 27-year-old son who is a survivor of childhood leukemia.
Yes.
And he's high risk. And so I thought, why would I want to have to go into a hospital? I mean, when COVID was really bad here in New York, we still have the number one.
How have you been?
Yeah, we still have the highest death rate of any state in the country.
And what are they doing to prevent the spread?
It's just social distancing right now. Yeah, definitely we wear masks, but
we don't. Like I do.
But aren't you in Chicago?
I'm in Chicago, and I would say walk in the streets of Chicago, maybe 50% are wearing masks outside.
Well, the problem is the leadership is not strong on this virus about its deadliness, and those of us who have been in the hospital and seen what it does, when because we got the first wave, we learned how to treat it. And because we learned how to treat it as it went across the country, they benefited from our treatment protocols, which is why California has 600,000 cases, but only 9,000 deaths.
Wow.
So we learned that it causes the blood to thicken. So, initially we have to give blood thinners. We learned that it causes this big inflammatory response. So we have to give dexamethasone. This whole hype on hydrochloroquine. Hydrochloroquine has been proven to be more risky than it is beneficial because it can cause arrhythmias. Wow. So we didn't mean to come in and talk about COVID, but COVID is still, very much a big problem in America. And, because of the blood thickness, we saw multi-system organ failure. And one of the things we do as surgeons is we give vascular access. And so patients who they couldn't get IVs in, there were days when I was putting in 10 lines and hemodialysis access and things like that, because, the whole hospital was like an ICU. I mean, we had,
they called you back
70.
in. Oh, wait, you finished during COVID, or you finished before?
This was back in April when we had the big wave, Yeah. No, it was bad. It was traumatic here. It was bad. We lost we lost a nurse and a PCT in our hospital to COVID.
Yeah.
One of the best nurses I've ever worked with. Is really sad.
Oh, too much.
So,
okay. So let's roll into another point. Insomnia. Like I personally sleep pretty well. I always sleep really well, actually. But I don't know. Do a lot of people?
Okay, so insomnia. Yeah. So a lot of women complain about brain fog and insomnia. They're pretty much related. If you don't get enough sleep, then your brain isn't going to rest enough. And then you're going to have some brain fog the next day. Brain fog also has a lot to do with diet. And so that's why we spend 3 weeks on diet in my program. And then we have in the membership side of it, we have a whole bit on, just recipes that support your brain and you support your menopause. But actually they're meals.
What if you don't cook? Oh, that's perfect.
They're full on meals that you can cook. They take like 20 minutes to cook, to prepare. They're not horrible. They're,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
And
we
that's
also,
during the beta course?
no,
Oh,
that's
that's
in
the
the paid,
regular.
that's in the paid program. Yeah, no,
Good.
we
Tease us
don't
a
give,
little bit. Tease us here.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, we don't have time in the beta to go into the Mental way of eating at all. We go into the science and we talk a little bit about the Mental way of thinking.
Okay.
And that's our
Good, good.
taster,
So
but
wait,
women get a good transformation there.
you say brain fog's connected to insomnia?
If you don't get enough sleep, yeah, your
Oh,
brain doesn't get to rest. And
that's
so
true.
then you can have trouble with recall, and you can also have trouble with food cravings.
I've always had
So,
issues with my brain. Like from early childhood, I was undiagnosed ADD, and then later was diagnosed with it, but then went on meds for it for like a week, and I noticed I became OCD. I said, forget
oh,
that. You know,
yeah.
I walked by the olive oil bottle in the kitchen one time, and I was like, there's oil on the bottle. And I stopped to wipe it off. And I said, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So I rather
Yeah.
just, so I got rid of the ADD meds. And then I've worked on the brain through some neurofeedback. But I had Lyme disease, you know, and then I hit the parking garage going up and down twice in like an 8-month period. So I put insurance claim in twice for my car, and I look like a high risk driver now.
Oh,
And I got rid of a car like 2.5 years ago. It's been great, but the insurance doubled. That's why I did that. So it's interesting you mentioned brain fog, because like I know even as a teenager, a teacher of teenagers, I often, when the kids will have a mood or something, I don't know, one time I've said it a couple times to my teenagers. I'm like, you remind me of menopausal women, which I am. So that's
yeah.
why I think we connect now, because I get their moods, or I get their.
Well, think about it. Think about how hormonal they are. You know, it's
Yeah.
like they're going through the first phase, and
Yeah.
you're going through the second phase, and so
Yeah.
you can,
It's like
you know,
COVID.
you can really relate to them in a
Wow.
way that,
Yeah.
yeah. But so in terms of sleep, there's a few tips I can give women as far as sleeping goes. And one of them is to eat early.
Okay.
So you want to try to, you know, if you go to bed at 10, you want to finish eating by 6.
Yep.
Another one, I mean, obviously, I never tell people not to drink because we're chronically underhydrated.
Mm.
So if you get up to pee, then the thing to do is to try and figure out how to get yourself back to sleep, right?
Mm.
And one of the ways I like to do that is something called the 4-7-8 breath.
Mm.
And so how you do that breath is you stick your tongue right back here.
On the top of your
You breathe in
mouth.
for a count of 4.
Or behind
you
your
hold for
teeth?
yeah.
Okay,
Like
behind
this.
your teeth. Okay.
So you're blowing the air out while your tongue is like this, like that. And what that does is that calms your central nervous system down. You do it like 4 to 8 times. Yeah, and
So you can do
that'll
it while
just,
you're awake in a stressful situation as well, right?
yeah, no, it's a really good way to calm things down. You know, just to do a
Teachers
4-7-8
going
breath.
back to school, y'all hear that? That
Yeah,
would be a
wear a
good,
mask.
a good
Wear a
tip.
mask.
Definitely.
I mean, there's another one is just the pause. I don't do the pause for sleep. I do 4-7-8 breath for sleep, but for stressful situations, especially when you are somebody who likes to react because of how you always act, then before you decide to talk, when you want to react really, really hard, and trust me, I get that because I'm a reactor. I not so much anymore, but I used to say things I really regretted. So the pause is basically just taking 10 slow deep breaths before you say anything.
Wow.
And that'll calm you down.
Do people also see that you're doing that, and they kind of provoke you during the time of being?
I haven't noticed that. I just, you know, I mean, I found, you know, in my adultness, as I've learned how to adult more and more, I found that I take a while to process things. And so I'm not witty. I'm witty after the fact. I'm not really witty in the moment, right?
Okay.
So what I do is I just try to give myself a chance to think before I say anything.
That's good.
And you know, what's coming to mind, there's this movie, there's this it's a series on Stars, I think, called Sweet Bitter. And it's about the restaurant industry in New York. All right. And what I love is the guy who plays the restaurant manager never reacts. And he can be and so it's just a really good it's a really good example of somebody who takes things in and doesn't react.
Yes. In reality shows, you usually see more reactions all the time.
It's not a reality show. No, it's a scripted show.
Okay.
So it's, he's like the opposite of a Gordon Ramsay. Now this guy is not, his character is the general manager. He's not a cook, but it's just really interesting. And I've seen this guy played not in Game of Thrones. He played in House of Cards. And so it's interesting to see the dynamic. And when you see this isn't who they are, they're actors, they're doing their jobs,
right.
But just the fact that there was,
wow.
There's this one scene in the first season where somebody just says something really mean to him. And he just says, no reaction at all.
They say you're giving your power away when you're reacting anyway, right? Don't they say that's what you're doing?
I don't know who they are, but
okay, I know.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we give our power away in all sorts of ways. So,
true.
But if you choose, if one of the things that you're striving for is to not be a reactive person, then the pause is a help. And then if you want to try and get some sleep, the 4-7-8 breath in the middle of the night is helpful.
Okay.
I learned that from Andrew Weil.
Got it. Count to 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8.
So you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you breathe out for 8 with your tongue in that.
That is such a great advice. Thank you. I have a weighted blanket now that I have actually in my bed. So if I do have to get up at 3, somehow that weighted blanket just calms me down. It's wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a couple weighted blankets. I never really liked it's heavy.
Hey, again, whatever works, right? I always had a blanket.
That's true.
We grew up in a house where we had like 65 degrees. It was so cold. So we always had blankets on us to keep warm.
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom the other day about how bad that was. And now it's like I always need like a dog on my lap or a pillow on my lap or something on top of me. It's just weird. It's just something that's
gross. Yeah, no, listen, the studies show that the weighted blanket can make you feel very, very, very secure.
Yeah.
So it's like a hug.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I like to tell people is if you're lacking human connection because you live alone and there's, because of COVID, you can't really hug people. One thing you can do is something called havening. And what that is you just, it's not the same as EFT or tapping, which I'm going to actually have somebody on my podcast to talk about it, but you can actually hug yourself and get the oxytocin to release. So when you hug somebody, oxytocin releases. And so you can do something like this.
That's great.
And that will give you the feeling of getting a hug.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
And
I like that.
Yeah.
I live alone. But now
so this is really, really helpful.
That's
so
great.
But when it comes to menopause and sleep, just to close that loop, the hormones do play a role. And so if you are chronically sleep deprived, then I do say discuss with your doctor about maybe taking some hormone supplementation. Just remember that hormones need to be started early. So when you start to have symptoms, you have to start early when the symptoms start. And you really should not take hormones more than 5 years.
Okay, good. Because I know the jury's out on whether you should take hormones or not. But
it's mostly out. But,
okay, good.
But if you are going to take them, you want to take them, and then if you have a uterus, you make sure that you are on progesterone and estrogen.
Have them both?
Those are important. Yeah. If you don't have a uterus, you can have estrogen alone, but you must have estrogen and progesterone for a woman who has a uterus.
Okay, good to know. So then I know sleep is huge for me when I turned into an early bird. That's really helped my mood swings, I know. But that's another thing that's on our list that I know a lot of relationships are having more strain because of mood swings, wouldn't you say? Or what is this mood swing thing about?
It's not just mood swings. I mean, it has to do with, I think menopause is so disruptive that a lot of women end up in some kind of existential crisis through menopause. And so it's not just moodiness. It's like, who am I? Yep. Why am I here? What's my legacy? What have I done? How did life just happen to me? Like my kids are grown and like what happened in the last 18, 25 years? Yeah. And now what do I do? And who am I now in this empty nester space? So there's just a lot of things. And then we also, I know you have a Christian audience, but we also really can get to a point where we question our spirituality. From really, really strict Christian to atheism to, somewhere in between now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
I don't devalue the value of Christ. I do
know.
believe in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can't not value him. So here we go. We're going to play.
All right.
We're going to play Never Have I Ever. There's 10. And
Fun.
because it's also a podcast, we could do a yes. If you do have I think we'll do put a finger down. So you start with 10 fingers and we'll both play. And then if you did have it happen, then you just say yes. And then you put the finger down. Right.
Okay.
All right.
Starting with the thumbs.
Starting with the thumbs, whatever you want.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Never have I ever tried to unlock the wrong car in a parking lot?
If I have, then it's a
If you have done it, then you'd put a finger down. Oh, I should say
definitely.
that. Put a finger down. Okay.
Okay.
Put a finger down if you've ever tried to cut your own hair. Yes.
I've done it like 5 times since COVID. Look at my hair.
Love it.
Okay.
Put a finger down if you ever shot a gun. Put a finger down. Oh, those are 2 yeses for us, by the way. Put a finger down if you've never had a surprise party thrown for you.
If I've never,
never.
I've had
Boo-hoo,
surprise parties. I don't like surprises.
I don't think I would like it anyway either.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. You have or have not?
Not. This means if you
have.
have.
Oh no, I have. I have had it.
Okay, you have. So keep your finger up. Okay.
Okay.
Put a finger down if you've ever worked at a fast food restaurant. I grew up in the country, didn't have those there. Put a finger down. This is funny to ask a doctor, but I picked this one. Put a finger down if you've ever had stitches. I wonder
if you've ever had stitches, yes, I've had stitches.
Yeah, I wonder if in the world there's people that haven't, because you know how we've all hit a mud puddle.
Probably.
I wonder if they're just weird. Okay, put a finger down if you've never sung. Oh, if you ever sung karaoke in front of people.
Yeah. Oh, thumb first. Thank God. Okay.
I think it's easier. Put a finger down. Oh yeah, we both sang karaoke. Okay. Put a finger down if you've ever thrown up on a roller coaster.
I've never thrown up.
I haven't either. I've gotten queasy, but never threw up. Okay. Put a finger down. Put a finger down if you've ever chipped a tooth.
Oh yeah, I've chipped a tooth.
Yep, we both chipped a tooth. And put a finger down if you've ever worn glasses without lenses.
No, why would you do that? That's so
fashion.
dumb. Oh, come on, that's so dumb.
I've done it. Okay.
Are we done?
That would be it for that game. Yes.
All right, that was fun.
8 out of 10. All right.
All
right. So I gave you an opportunity, and I don't know if you want to recommend more books, more habits, or more TV shows, but there's a 3-2-1 that we always end class with a lot of times.
Okay.
A 3-2-1. So I could ask you, could you recommend, which you already kind of did a little bit with our the Meno way. What would you want to do? 3 books, 3 TV shows, and 1 habit, or 3 habits?
Hey, it doesn't matter. I mean, I can
I want more
recommend.
habits. I'm done reading.
You're done reading.
Books.
Okay.
I've got 5 books
all right.
to do already. I need 3 new habits that I, as a person in menopause, need to adopt.
First habit that I would recommend is spiritual practice. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to pray. But when we start to realize that we are part of the universe and that we come from the universe and that there's something bigger inside of us that is godlike, and that gives us the ability to access God, then what that does, when for me, and I think for almost everybody I know who's successful, and I spend a lot of time trying to be more excellent at things, and trying to be a high performer in not just in sports. I'm pretty sporty, but in my life, and one of the ways that I have found is to do a spiritual practice that has some visualization with it. And so the way we bring our future selves, we get caught up with our future self, is to visualize what we want, and remember that we tend to overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate what we can do in 3. And so when you think about things in 3-year increments, you can get a lot more done.
Oh, that's good. I know I'm in a coaching practice. There's a technique that we use that talks about pulling somebody in to your space, and you just talk to that person, somebody you know or not, and then and so the reason this podcast was born, because it was a visualization exercise similar to what you said. So second,
I mean, there's just remember that all the potential, all, you know, the way that the quantum realm works is that all of the possibilities exist. And what we do is make choices to pull pull possibilities toward us. And that's where free will comes in.
Yeah.
So, you know, to talk a little Christian speak, you know,
yes,
we have free will, you know, and we can pull whatever reality toward us that we want. I mean, that's the great thing about being a child of God, is that we can claim our birthright, and our birthright is the kingdom of God.
Yes. And we're royalty.
Right. And so it's very, very, so many times, I mean, I think especially, and I know, you know, I'm not bashing Christians, but I think that the whole message of Christ got a little bit bastardized throughout the years, you know, that, you know, Christ basically said, you know, claim your birthright. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's available to you. It's right behind your eyes.
Yes. And he stands at the door and knocks. Anyone will open the door, and I'm there. Yeah. Oh, second habit to adopt.
So first habit is that. Second habit, so we talk about a spiritual practice and meditation, and then I would say reading an hour every day.
Oh, yes.
I know you're tired of books, but
yeah, so I've been reading like 5 hours a day. That's why I'm tired, I think.
Yeah. But at least, you know, reading
just
an hour
get off the
every day.
electronics, right? Because I can't do Kindle books either. I just have to.
I don't mind Kindle books, but I would say, you know, audiobooks, any way that's, you know, I mean, one of the things that I've adopted is that, you know, I take my dogs out for an hour to 2 hours every day. And during that time, I'm
lucky dogs.
Listening to an audiobook. Well, yeah, I mean, when you retire from a job, there's another job you have to pick up, right? And that is moving your body.
Oh, yes, that's good.
Right. And so the third habit I would say is, if you're not moving, start moving, because there is a correlation between cognitive decline and the amount that you move your body. Ooh, and so if you're a couch potato, right, then you're going to have a higher incidence of cognitive decline. And then I'm going to add a bonus one in there, and this is to get off of vegetable oil. Vegetable oil is poison. Oh, good. So anything like canola, grapeseed, cottonseed, any manufactured oil, all those oils are poison to our bodies, and everything fast food is made with them. And the reason why that they're okay by the FDA, or okay, you know, is because they're cheap, they're odorless, and they're tasteless. But remember, the food industry is not food, and they're not out for our best interest. Eat whole, real food.
I've been saying that to my mom forever, so I hope she hears this.
But vegetable oil, you know, like you're doing a recipe that calls for vegetable oil. Use coconut oil instead, or use an olive. I mean, olive oil is going to have a flavor, but it's better than canola. Canola oil affects us at the epigenetic level. It's horrible. It's really bad. And I noticed that if I eat that, 2 weeks later, I have a major depressive event.
Wow, that's so good to know. Good to know. All right, 2 TV shows or books. You can do whatever one you want. So
I'm going to give you one book, and that is the book that changed my life the most. I'm going to give you 2. I'm going to give you 2 books and a TV show. I'm going to give you, So the first book that I recommend that everyone read is Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. He came over to America in 1920, and what he did was he was able to kind of merge the Western and Eastern religions, and he talked through the scriptures, and he talks about all of the miraculous things that happened in his life, and it made everything make sense to me. So you know, all of my Christian upbringing, and so that book was really, really instrumental in helping me to reform a spiritual practice. Another book that I highly recommend if you want to start figuring out how to be excellent is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Just like, they're all numbered, and they're just things that you can do to get excellent at stuff. And so I really like that. He wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Right.
back in the 90s with Mark Victor Hansen. And then there's a TV show that Joe Dispenza did on Gaia called, I think it's called Becoming Supernatural. It's only on Gaia, and it's a really good introduction to understanding how to crack the code to change your behavior.
Okay, good. So now, if we could just do one last question for the audience to think about, one final thought. It doesn't even have to be formed in a question, but what is the final thing you want to say before we sign off?
I think that the thing that's coming to mind for me is to always examine, who am I being in this moment? And is it the person that I idealize myself to be? And who is that, the person that I idealize myself to be? Would she make that choice?
That's really good. Wow, we can totally hang it up on that note. Dr. Michelle Gordon, I appreciate you for helping us, because the whole purpose of Ain't Gonna Be No Stupid is that we enlighten and we get to know the truth, or to be less stupid. So you have definitely educated us. I'll be enjoying editing this, because I'll be able to go back and redigest all that you said. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, and join in on the next beta that we're going to be starting on September 7th.
That's next week,
September
guys.
7th through 21st. So make sure you join in on that. You'll get a nice transformation there, and you can come and check out the Menopause Movement podcast if you like what you heard today.
Yes, where do we find you in the medical podcast?
Yeah. So we're on Apple Podcasts. I'm also on I'm on Facebook at Dr. Michelle Gordon, and Twitter at Michelle E. Gordon, Instagram Dr. Michelle Gordon.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.